The golden age of America begins right now. America's decline is over. We will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth. I am with you. I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand.
Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and this is the For Liberty Network. Yeah! What's up, Floby Tenderson? Enjoying the sweet sounds of my beautiful voice. Steffi for Liberty, my sweet wife. Where you at, you sexy girl? I'm gonna come get you. Kermode Bear, Cecilia H. L-Dubs, what's up, Latrell? Quest Fanning, hanging out live. Mongoose 87. Nelson 65, do you miss me? Can you bless me with something? Oh gosh, my presence wise. Drew Van Runkle, Robbie Theraman, Steelbringer, what's up everybody? We're all in the chat. It's time to rock and roll. Good morning, America. In Trump's America, the vibe has shifted from boss babe to boss man again. America is back. We've got J.D. Vance putting Margaret Brennan in her place on Face the Nation, sparking memes faster than you could say Uno. Not in this country, folks. We just call the card game now One. It's just called One. It's not Uno. From executive orders that'll make your heart sing to the sweet sound of freedom to Trump's international victories, we're diving into stories that make you want to stand up and cheer. Grab your For Liberty, because we're about to get this party started like never before. It's a tea party, folks. Today we're drinking the English breakfast. That is the, if you can see over there on the, what's camera one, camera two? There we go, camera two. I'm going to figure out how to make it so that everything is in focus tomorrow so you can actually see the things that are in the foreground, right? But the Boston Harbor Black is there. Wait, oh yeah, so if I cover my face, the autofocus, there it goes. It zooms in on the, there you go. I found the hack. Boston Harbor Black is what we're drinking today. Isn't that cool? There we go. Now I'm in focus. Hold on. Now the tea's in focus. Now I'm in focus. I've been spending all weekend trying to trick out the studio so we can just make it better and better and better. We're going to talk about the Margaret Brennan, J.D. Vance interview. We're going to talk about the clash on Face the Nation. During his first interview since taking office on Face the Nation, J.D. Vance directly challenged Margaret Brennan on several key points, including the vetting of immigrants and refugees. Vance argued against the idea that all refugees have been properly vetted, citing an example of an Afghan national in Oklahoma accused of planning a terror attack despite passing vetting processes. His rebuttals have led to a wave of memes depicting Vance as decisively handling Brennan's questions, emphasizing his stance on national security and immigration, and just making him look like a Chad all around. Yes. Amy J. Ease, you finally decided to join us. Good morning, Amy. Nice to see everybody here. We'll play some clips from that interview, and we'll talk a little bit about the vibe shift, and I've got some hilarious memes that will make you laugh. The second thing that you ought to know today on Trump's executive orders: in his first few days back in office, President Trump signed executive orders to suspend the U.S. refugee admissions program implement stricter vetting for visa applicants, and end birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. He also announced plans for deporting undocumented immigrants and pardoned over 1,500 people charged with crimes related to the January 6th Capitol attack. These actions are aimed at tightening immigration policy and reinforcing law and order. You'll love to see it. The third thing you need to know today, the Bank of America CEO is in Donald Trump's sights. You'll love to see it. President Trump publicly criticized Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan for allegedly denying services to conservative clients, particularly after Moynihan's comments on how tax policies on tips affect the economy. Trump highlighted this during an interview, suggesting that such actions by banks could be met with regulatory scrutiny in his administration, focusing on ensuring equal treatment regardless of political affiliation. You'll love to see it. Number 4, the big news items that you ought to know today. Trump's clash with Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. It was a beautiful thing. President Trump directly countered Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass's policies by implementing federal actions that undermine the city's sanctuary city status. Specifically, Trump's administration has increased ICE activities in LA, including high-profile raids, and has rolled back an Obama-era directive that limited ICE operations in sensitive locations like hospitals and churches, directly challenging Bass's local policies. And he actually flew to Los Angeles to demand that the mayor allow the residents of the Pacific Palisades, which was recently burned to the ground, to get into their houses and not have to wait 18 months to clean up their homes. It was beautiful. I have the tape. Monday morning, we're rock and roll. I got so much good stuff for you guys. Trump's victory over Colombia. Somebody said Colombia. That's here in Missouri. It's like 45 minutes north of us here. Colombia is in Missouri. Colombia is in South America. Say it with me, everybody. Colombia. You got to really add, it's the O in it that's really the important part there. Colombia, right? I think Sarah Sanchez would agree, right? Good morning, pineapples. How are we? Good morning.
Good morning, pineapple.
Looking very good, very nice.
Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
Welcome to the Wake Up America show. If you haven't already, guys, what do you got to do? Click the like button on the stream. Why haven't you done that already? If today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show and you say to yourself, wow, this is a fun show, I'm having a good time, I definitely want to come back and hang with this crew again, the easiest way to find us is just to click the follow button before you go. That's going to send a notification to your mobile device when we go live, which is every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So it's a 5-day-a-week live stream, tons of fun, great crew to hang out with in the mornings, great way to find out what's going on in the world, have a little fun, get a little funny, maybe a little dancing, a little singing, a little goofing around. It's the Wake Up America show, and we're just a little offbeat. It's just not like your regular shows, okay? You can watch any show in the morning where there's some guy who's going to be like, we're all going to die, and things are going to go to hell, and you need to buy gold, and you need to, and World War III will commence. And I'm sure it's going to, like, yeah, you get the veins popping out in your neck, and you're like, yeah, give me the fear, I love the fear. Right, but I just realized, sorry, not to be too weird right away, but I just can't take all the fear all the time. Not that there aren't things to be afraid of, but I don't know. We just try and keep things a little bit more positive here, right? Build a healthy, positive community here on the Wake Up America show. So it's a great place to hang out in the morning. You want to start your day. Sometimes I open up my X feed in the morning and it's like, I wish I didn't, right? It's like pouring poison directly into the brain. It's just like, negative, fear, I hate you, like all of this, like angry spurgs from high school, right? The people like the introverted, not all introverts are spurgy assholes, but the introverted misanthropes, the ones specifically who, you could just tell hate humanity. It's like, there was a really good comic, I think, in The Onion back in the day, back when it was still funny and back when it was still relevant. And it was just a guy walking down the street with a woman in his arm. He's got like a hat on, and the other guy's just like, oh, they're so strange. I hate them. You know what I mean? Those people are the ones who rule the internet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hate everything and everyone. Not here, not on the Wake Up America show. Everybody love everybody. No, we're not hippies. Quite the opposite, as a matter of fact. The age of hippies is over, thanks to J.D. Vance. In the interview that sparked 1,000 misogynist memes that we will laugh at, J.D. Vance sits down with Margaret Brennan in his first interview on CBS Face the Nation, talk about immigration, inflation, and sundry items. Take a listen.
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals
but there are
have been properly
30,000
vetted.
people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary
Do you stand by
concern
it?
as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems.
So now, I mean, your job is to like ask him a question and let him talk, not sit there and like play, go jousting with him. I mean, it's just funny because you can't get good information a lot of times from these interviews. I mean, if you have someone like J.D. Vance, you're lucky. He might actually be able to get a little bit of information out. But as soon as here's how these reporters work. And trust me, I've worked in these mainstream news organizations in their newsrooms. I've been inside 30 Rock. I've seen how like MSNBC operates, Fox News operates. I've been inside these studios and I watch how these reporters do their job. And they want to bring in like the most relevant but stupidest person from the right to play a fool on camera. What they do is if they bring anybody on, it's a conservative stooge who says that everything that Democrats do is correct and that Trump is evil and wrong, right? So they try and find like the dumbest right winger that they can. But what happens with someone like J.D. Vance, when you get an interview with someone like J.D. Vance, if they start doing too good of a job, you have to stop them. You have to cut them off because you can't allow them to continue to do a good job or represent their ideas well. Like back in the day, for example, Jon Stewart, whoever, like the lefties are like, oh, Jon Stewart, we love him, and even some conservatives are like posting his video of him like talking about the coronavirus lab as if like, oh, well, even Jon Stewart said this and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but he's not your friend. And speaking of people who are not your friend, Stephen Smith, Andrew Schulz, our buddy Top Lobster is going to be on the show today at 8:30 a.m. Central Time to talk about all of these lefties who are now finding Jesus, a.k.a. finding Trump. Thank you to Robbie Thurman for gifting subs over there, brother. That gives them all privileges. And now we'll do the decoder ring part, and you guys will find out that you need to drink your Ovaltine. There we go. Yes. No. Privileges and benefits. No, you do get a 20% discount at forlibertyshop.com if you are a sub member on any of our properties, guys, just as an FYI. But Top Lobster joins us today at 8:30 a.m. to talk about all these lefties who are suddenly coming out of the woodwork saying, it's not cool to be a Democrat. Well, where were you 6 weeks ago, butt chunk? Where were you, a couple of months ago when we were all in the trenches? Oh, it's not cool to be a Democrat. Well, you sure weren't talking like that before the election. Oh, what about Stephen Smith? I got an interview of him on Bill Maher, and he sounds like a conservative, like a MAGA Republican these days. That's not what he sounded like 8 weeks ago when everybody was shilling for Kamala. Oh, no, they're all changing our tune. Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. Hell, Turning Point USA is putting him up on stage, and they're applauding him, many of these right-wingers. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for the bullshit. Good morning. Good morning. That great getting up morning. Steffi, since the studio is in the home, you can pop in on the camera at any time. That is true, but she knows better than to disturb her man. We're talking about putting the boss babes back in their place. J.D. Vance provides an excellent demonstration. Whoosh.
A lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people
it's
are
not
vetted.
good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radical.
Oh, that was a very particular case. Oh, well, it's just one. It's like that. Reminds me of that time that I went on Tom Hartman, that socialist lefty show, and he was like, "Name one country where libertarian principles have ever been tried. Name one country." And I said, Estonia, after the fall of the Soviet Union. And he's like, okay. Oh, so that's one country. One country. Yeah, that's what you said. You said name one country. And then once I named one country, you were like, okay, one country. One country. It's like, oh, God, it's so stupid. Sorry. Tom Hartman, Margaret Brennan.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Good morning, pineapples. It's a Wake Up America show. I hope you guys are having fun so far. We're just getting started. We've got great guests. John Miltimore joins us at 8 a.m. Central Time here on the Wake Up America show. Don't be fooled by them big old socialist titties. The Wake Up America show is brought to you in part by viewers and listeners like you. When you click the like button, when you click the follow button, it's amazing. So amazing. Everybody fired up this season. And no matter what, you better click the like button. My coffee is as good as any others. It's amazing. Oh, so amazing. Oh, so amazing. Oh, so amazing. You can get Founding Flavors coffee available at forlibertyshop.com, as well as a delicious bag of 4 Liberty, which is what I'm drinking this morning. My Boston Harbor Black. It is delicious. Get it at forlibertyshop.com. Everybody caught up this season. J.D. Vance continued the destruction, the domination. He made a hoe a housewife.
A lot of things that contributed to higher energy prices, and there was record oil and gas production.
Yes, Joe Biden did many terrible things to lead to an increase in prices. I agree, Margaret.
No, but all the things you experience at the grocery store are what people touch and feel. That's what you were talking about, bacon on the campaign trail.
Of course. Of course.
Those things, when do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Well, Margaret, how does bacon get to the grocery store? It comes on trucks that are fueled by diesel fuel. If the diesel's way too expensive, the bacon's going to become more expensive. How do we grow the bacon? Our farmers need energy to produce it. So if we lower energy prices, we are going to see lower prices for consumers, and that is what we're trying to do.
Yes. Now, I know some of you are curious about the Rumble bot and its connection to the stream. And they were asking questions like, oh, how do we get the Rumble bot to reply if we're on mobile? I have no idea. Sorry, I don't know. But if you're on a PC, if you're on a laptop, you just click the name of @the Rumble bot and then ask it a question. And like Blutreich says, what's the best way to make a sandwich? And the Rumble bot says, stack that bad boy with protein, greens, and sauce. Always add a side of swagger. Yes. Today's Rumble bot is a Chad bot, a Giga Chad bot specifically. So if you ask the Rumble bot questions or tell it to do things, you can speak to it at the Rumble bot in the chat, but exclusively on Rumble at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. That's rumble.com/AP for Liberty. Say hello to the Chad bot. Here is the Giga Chad himself.
Oh, well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by...
country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
Oh, yeah. I see things are getting a little spicy over in the chat. We're having so much fun following the Trump administration. It's already been 1 week, and I give it 8 out of 10. I like this meme here. This interview with Margaret Brennan spawned a million memes. And here is one of the memes. Margaret Brennan asked the question, what about eggs? JD Vance says, you haven't had eggs for years. Oh my God.
For consumers, we've seen all. You campaigned on lowering prices for consumers. We've seen all of these executive orders. Which one lowers prices?
We have done a lot, and there have been a number of executive orders that have caused already jobs to start coming back into our country, which is a core part of lowering prices. More capital investment, more job creation in our economy is one of the things that's going to drive down prices for all consumers, but also raise wages so that people can afford to buy the things that they need. If you look at our slate of executive orders, no.
So grocery prices aren't going to come down.
Margaret, prices are going to come down, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? The president has been president for all of 5 days. Yeah. I think that in those 5 days,
You haven't solved every single problem in 5 days. Well, that means that your arguments are completely invalid. They were doing this to Javier Milei, by the way, in Argentina. Same thing.
Accomplished more than Joe Biden did in 4 years. It's been an incredible breakneck pace of activity. We're going to work with Congress. We're, of course, going to have more executive orders, and we're going to try the way that you lower prices is that you encourage more capital investment into our country. And yes,
you campaigned on lowering.
I love it. And then what about eggs? You haven't had eggs for years. Oh, gosh. So mean, so mean, so mean, so mean, so mean, so mean, so mean. Yeah. This is a country founded by immigrant. Margaret, JD Vance says, you don't have to do this anymore. You can take off the pantsuit and put on some yoga pants. Let your hair grow past your shoulder. Stay home. Work on little projects. Bake things. It's fine now. Margaret responds, thank you, JD. This is why all my lefty female friends have unfriended me on Facebook and in real life. Wah, wah.
But it sounds like that's some fucking commie gobbledygook.
What's up, Real Hunter Human? My God, this show is already starting strong. Steelbringer says they can destroy the country, but we have to accept they are trying. But we are damned if we don't achieve a utopia in one day. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like the cut of your jib, sir. You, sir? No, sir. Who, sir? Vice President Vance clashed with CBS host Margaret Brennan on Sunday when he defended Trump's decision to halt a refugee program that quickly barred hundreds of Afghans from reaching the U.S. last week. Vance tore into her during the sit-down interview. Brennan asked whether Afghan refugees, including some who work with the U.S. government, should be allowed in the country, and pointed out that Vance said last year he doesn't think the country should abandon anybody who's been properly vetted and helped us, but Vance was quick to insist he doesn't think all the refugees have been vetted the right way. And now that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people in our country. Thank you. Amy J.A. says, it's been a week because egg prices didn't drop automatically. The libs were right. Exactly. It's been 5 days and the price of eggs hasn't come down. Price of eggs is kind of high, though. Would like to see that come down. I've got a billion clips for you here on the show today. I've also got for you an interview with John Miltimore, who's going to join us live to talk about the intelligence agents who lost their security clearances and why this libertarian says it was a good move. So stick around because 30 minutes from now, we'll hear from John Miltimore about our intelligence agencies. And the latest news is that the CIA actually came out and announced that they think it is likely that the coronavirus originated from a lab in Wuhan. Oh, well, congratulations. You decided to join the rest of the world, but at least it is a step in the right direction for showing that our intelligence agencies want to make moves to start to be trusted by the American people again. But libertarians were going to be a little skeptical. It's going to take a lot more than that. And even then, not that really. I don't think it's going to be, it's going to be a tall order for you over there, Central Intelligence Agency. Next on the list, we have Top Lobster to join us. What's the deal with all of these Democrats talking about how now it's not cool to be a Democrat? What's the deal with all these anti-MAGA lefties coming out and saying, oh, Donald Trump was right. I regret voting for Kamala Harris. Could it have anything to do with the fact that they got their ass handed to them in a high hat? Oh, Stephen Smith, now he's suddenly a genius because he's big and famous and on ESPN. All of a sudden, we're going to listen to what he has to say because he's obviously not been the Pied Piper helping to lead this country off a cliff. Now he's our friend. We can trust him completely, right, guys? Right? We can trust him.
Here's the deal. The man was impeached twice. He was convicted on 34 felony counts. And the American people still said, he's closer to normal than what we see.
Exactly.
Left. That's what they're saying. He's closer to normal. Why? Because something that pertains, when you talk about the transgender community, for example, and you're talking about the issues that pertain to less than 1% of the population, the Democratic Party came across as if that was a priority more so than the other issues. And so he comes into office. Now you're talking about childbirth, citizenship, and what have you. He knows that's not going to pass the mustard, but he knows that he made that promise. So when he shows up week 1 on Capitol Hill and he says, this is what we're going to do through an executive order, even though it's going to be shot down through the courts and what have you, he's saying, I kept my promise. A lot of other things that he's going to point to that he's going to try to do. I kept my promise. Then you turn around and you look at the left and you say, what promises did you keep? Now, you might know the answer to that. I'm certainly not questioning your knowledge about that at all. What I'm saying is what resonated with the voter. What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf. They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home and that man is back into the White House. And they want to sit up there and talk. You look at the networks right now, they're talking about him. Look at it. This is the latest. Look at him. Here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week 1, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's really it.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you got the first mainstream African American there who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's storybook, man. Who said it? If you're scandalized and you're like, Austin, what a racist remark. That was Joe Biden talking about President Obama. Yeah. Yeah, boy. Boyakasha. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. President Trump slams California Rep. Brad Sherman.
Mr. President, without your help, they're only going to get $43,000 from the federal government, even if they have a half $1 million
you did something,
loss.
Brad, with every insurance company in the country left California. That's why you have no insurance, because you made it so impossible. People that think like you made it so impossible. And
Brad, me?
Every
Mr.
insurance
President,
company.
I don't know what
I'll
you
tell
know
you this,
about my thinking.
I've never seen a state where almost nobody has insurance. And I said, what happened? And they said like 6 months ago they all left. And 2 years ago they had different, quadrants, but they left. And you have very little insurance here. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
We have.
You love to see it. Trump put Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass in her place with one of the most outstanding back and forths I have ever seen.
We're bringing our city departments together so that people don't get caught in the loop of going from one room to the next. We want them all to be in the same room so that you can get busy rebuilding ASAP. Absolutely.
I love Melania, man. She's in her scary, hiding her eyes, hat over her face era, and I'm here for it.
Yes. Yes. And we will clear the lots, absolutely, in the city and in the county.
These are the residents that are like, you know, please let us go back to our lots and clear our lots and clear our lots. Mayor Karen Bass says, no, we will clean the lots. We will clean the lots. But she's talking about something very specific here when she says this.
We are working together. Both levels of government are working in unity.
Months? Is it like that's the answer that we got, and that's what we're all hanging on?
Yes.
So if you're telling us now faster, is it 6 months? Is it, I mean, all of our lives,
right,
rents, all this stuff is weighing on this.
6 months is no good.
Yeah.
And the number one thing.
I mean, he's like, I mean, the president, he's on their side, man. That's a resident standing up saying, hey, you know, 6 months, you know, we got rents to pay. Like, the costs start to pile up, and they're not able to build their homes and stuff. And, you know, he's like, oh, how long is it going to be? You know, the resident asked 6 months. Trump's like, 6 months is too long. You got to know the resident is just like, oh, my God, thank God.
Going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And, you know, we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe.
I love that Melania is actually there with him. I mean, it's kind of like shows this solidarity. I really appreciate it.
Safe. And we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it, because by the time you hire contractors...
Yeah, they can't do that. God, get ready, guys. This is going to be awesome.
It's going to be 2 years.
If a family...
The people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot.
Boom, there it is. Trump nailed it. That's the heart of the corruption. They don't want to let these people clean out their own lots because they want the city to come in and create jobs and have them do it because it's deemed unsafe for the people to clear their own lots.
I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because you have a very powerful emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit. And the permit's going to take them, everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
That was last night.
And that was last night.
On that.
We can't even see our homes right now. We are blocked from entering our streets.
Right.
We can't even. This is our first time we saw our house. It was yesterday.
Yeah, unbelievable. Wow. Bro, he's killing them. Oh, he's killing them. You love to see it. MAGA is winning. Liberty is on the march. There's a million billion clips of wonderful things happening around the world.
I want to go back to those military flights going south. As you said, we have never seen that before. Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
So is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes. But you can see the numbers steadily increase.
The estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table, because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally, who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge, should be.
Oh, dude, do not mess with this guy. Now, where are they going to get the manpower to do this? Where are they going to find the people that they need to enforce border security? Well, just so happens Trump has a brilliant plan.
Day one, I immediately halted the hiring of any new IRS agents. They hired or tried to hire 88,000 new workers to go after you, and we're in the process of developing a plan to either terminate all of them or maybe we'll move them to the border. I think we're going to move them to the border. Well, they're allowed to carry guns. They're so strong on guns, but these people are allowed to carry guns, so we'll probably move them to the border. Yeah. She said no tax on it. How about just no tax?
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! America's back, baby. America's back. We're back, baby. Yeah, get the music going. Let's rock and roll. We're... Everyone close your eyes. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Trumpy Buddha has blessed you. Rub his little belly, everyone, right here. Here we go. Give him a little rub. Make him happy, and he will bless you. We're taking IRS agents and putting them on the border. It's like they have guns. IRS agents with guns. It's like straight out of a libertarian playbook. This is kind of like exactly what I would be saying if I were president of the United States right now. Yeah, it's a beautiful morning in Jefferson City, Missouri. Where are you guys at today? You can send me a text. Let me know what's on your mind at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Listeners are texting in. How does Dr. Phil fit in here? I've heard of a captive audience, but this is odd. Apparently, Dr. Phil went on an ICE raid. Dr. Phil will do anything for attention, but hold on. Let's take a look.
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
Thailand?
You've been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported?
I've been in the system before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with?
Dr. Phil's sitting there like, what is the problem that brought you here to the United States?
Charged for it.
Before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not talking about lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom's a citizen.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
Who's Dr. Phil? Who's like Dr. Phil?
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen a Dr. Phil,
I seen a Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of
How is Dr. Phil sitting there with Tom Holman and then he's asking questions to illegal aliens and the illegal alien says you're Dr. Phil? Only in Trump's America. Only in Trump's America. This would not be happening if it were Kamala Harris. Don't you understand how much fun we would have missed? Good morning. I'm Austin Peterson. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. How's it going? Still streaming live from the home studio and having an absolute blast. I've had the time of my life, and I've never streamed this way before. Oh, I know it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel by clicking follow at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. You can text the show at 573-319-1586. The text lines are open, and you can text us anytime, night or day. So if you're listening to the audio version later, then come back and join us Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's great live. But if you're listening to the audio version later and you still want to say hi to me and Stephanie, then send me a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319. I'm trying to find the optimal way to point at the text down there. 573-319-1586. Again, 573-319-1586 is the text line. Back to Dr. Phil.
Sex crimes involving children. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children. And he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than like law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really? And never been deported?
Nope.
Huh.
Let's take him in, process and lock him up.
Got it, sir. All right. Can you get transport? Working on it.
Yeah. Well, I guess go Dr. Phil. Reasons to live. Yes. Bill Maher torches Karen Bass after the LA fires.
Last week, a lot of people lost their home to the fire. This week, a lot of people lost their gardeners to ice. And we're not out of the woods yet with the fires, right? They came up again. Some of them came up so quickly, the mayor barely had time to book a trip. Also in the news this week, Donald Trump is president again, and he's only 13% contained.
Pretty funny. I mean, Bill Maher has been kind of trending our way for a long time. Here's a clip from Hillary Clinton in 2008.
If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
That's not what Hillary Clinton sounds like these days. That's what happens when you're just trying to chase what you think the public believes, is that they thought that that's what the public wanted for a certain time, but they weren't really listening to people. They were just doing like poll testing and listening to their DC insiders telling them what the country wanted, and no, it came back and bit him in the ass.
Well, number one, the reason Donald Trump had to resort to these tariffs and sanctions and punishments today is because the president of Colombia refused to accept a flight of migrants. He said he wouldn't take them. Donald Trump said, we're going to enter the F around and find out portion of this conversation. And he hit him with sanctions and tariffs. And now tonight, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says Congress is going to back him up on that. He's putting Colombia, he's putting the rest of this hemisphere on notice that you are not dealing with the same president that you were. You're dealing with someone who is taking illegal immigration seriously. Now, within an hour of making that threat, the president of Colombia said, whoa, 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 I'll send my own plane to pick these people up. So obviously, he got their attention. I don't think there's actually going to be any tariff war between the United States and Colombia, because as long as they come get their people, I doubt Donald Trump's going to end up tariffing them, and they won't tariff us. And they'll have learned a valuable lesson that Donald Trump is taking immigration, illegal immigration, seriously. This is real leadership, but it sends a message to everybody else in the hemisphere. Do not test us. This is not Biden and Harris. This is Trump and Vance. We mean business. And you know,
you love to see it, man. He's just Scott Jennings, one of my favorite people. You love to see it.
ICE is now detaining people. This has a lot of people concerned. The Laken Riley Act, I'm sure you voted on that. I think you voted no. Okay, but it did pass with 46 Democrats in the House voted for it. And in the Senate, it passed 64 to 35, so I think about 12 Democrats there. This is a law that says that ICE can detain any illegal who is charged, arrested, or convicted of a crime, not merely an accusation, so don't get excited, Karens. Has to be charged, arrested, or convicted. Now, Ruben Gallego, who we've had on this show a number of times, and I think has bigger ambitions, that he's now the senator from Arizona, he voted for it. He said, I'm bringing the perspective of working-class Latinos from Arizona. That perspective, I think, has been missing. And he talks about people who are largely out of touch with where your average Latino is. It sounds like he's calling out people like you who voted no.
I like Ruben. There are a lot of Latino. I do. I think he ran a hell of a race. But there are a lot of Latino leaders who also voted no. Here's the basic thing in this country. If you're convicted of a sex offense, of a violent offense, absolutely you should be deported. But if you're just arrested, we are a country which we have due process, and you should have a trial. I think that's a reasonable position. I think most people can agree also that, yes, let's deport convicted felons, convicted criminals, but let's not deport our nannies and students or dental hygienists who've been living here for years and have kids in communities. We can have a common sense position on this.
It's gonna be an interesting fight on the anchor baby question. If it goes to the Supreme Court, there's a chance it might not go to the Supreme Court. It might just get knocked down out of federal courts.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
Well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti.
Going back to Haiti. Yes, you are. It's voodoo. Yes, you are. If by voodoo magic or by airplane. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. We're glad and thankful to have you here. Click that like button right now. Dang it. 204 people watching us live over on Rumble. You love to see it. I have no idea how many people watch us over on X. 588 views over on X. Now, that's deceptive because it could just mean, that just means 588 people have seen it in their feed. It doesn't mean that many people are actually watching or joining us, actually listening live over on X. We don't know how many that is. We can't find out, unfortunately. But I'm just going to give a big shout out to all my Xers out there. I know that you love that platform, and it is a great platform in many ways. But the best way to watch and interact with the Wake Up America show is on Rumble. So join us at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. That's rumble.com/AP for Liberty, the number 4. And you will find the Wake Up America show, and you'll find the feed. So you can see people like LDub78, Luke Sacker, Robbie Thurman, Sign of Jonah, BB for Liberty, and so many others over on the screen. You can be one of those people because we can't import the chat from X to the stream, only Rumble and locals, etc. Maria Edenbo, what's up, Maria? So take a letter, Maria, address it to your wife. Say I won't be coming home. We're gonna start a new life. John Miltimore sending me messages over on the Wake Up America show. So take a letter, Maria. Address it to my wife. Do. Say you will be coming home. You gotta join us on Rumble. John Miltimore is joining us live in 5. We're gonna speak to him about the intelligence agents who lost their security clearance and whether or not that was a good move. Well, spoiler alert. He thinks that it is. And then Top Lobster joins us in 30 minutes to talk about why Andrew Schulz is a pussy. He says, this was clearly obvious that Democrats are uncool, but you are too much of a coward to do your job as a comedian, Lobster writes. Now that it's acceptable mainstream, you can say it. You're funny, but you're not a comedian. You're a social engineer. Better hope the sheep don't recognize. Ouch, woo, Top Lobster. Sick burn. He's going to talk about all all of the Johnny-come-latelys who have come around to Donald Trump after he won the election. It's going to be a great show. Don't go away. We're going to go to a brief little commercial break. We haven't quite unlocked the bonus content yet, so guys, get yourself some founding flavors. Maybe some For Liberty at forlibertyshop.com. Go shopping. Jen Van, Maria Edenbo, T-Mill22, John and KC, don't go away. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders.
I am sounding the alarm and encouraging everyone to sound the alarm. The name of my book is For Love of Country, Leave the Democrat Party Behind. Specifically and very directly pointing to those who pose the greatest threat to our democracy, to our freedom, to our security, and our ability to live in peace right now. And my concern, my grave concern, is that in this next election, if President Biden or Harris or whoever they may put up, if it's not President Biden, if they are allowed to remain in power, then we will get to a place where the country that I love, that you love, that so many of us love and appreciate will become unrecognizable, and to a place where the freedoms that we are already starting to lose, that we won't be able to get them back. I am sounding the...
Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and that's on the 4 Liberty Network. Click the like button, and if today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, click the follow button as well. We'd love to have you be a regular guest on the Wake Up America show every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. Tulsi Gabbard, maybe the Director of National Intelligence, maybe not. If she doesn't get confirmed, it's probably because of statements like that, and because of intelligence officials who are working fast and furiously behind the scenes to try and prevent her, a more peaceful candidate for the Director of National Intelligence, a more pro-civil liberties candidate for the Director of National Intelligence, to that position. On Monday, on that Monday through Friday schedule, we like to call it Mondays with Miltimore. That's when John Miltimore from the American Institute of Economic Research joins us for his regular spot when he's not sick as a dog. Good morning, John Boy. Good morning, John Boy.
Good morning, Lippy. Great to be with you. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing, man? Talking about some kind of super flu. Everybody's been talking about that in the Rumble live chat this morning about how like the flu is killer this year.
Yeah, it's a bad influenza. I got it, I think, on Wednesday, and I was trying to work for half the day, and finally I'm like, I can't do this. I got to go lay down. I had like a bad brain fog and everything else. And
oof.
Felt a little bit better next day, but it's a bad one. So sorry to everyone else who has this too. It's not a fun strain.
Take a year off your life, John. Just for future reference, so you know, after you go to the bathroom or whenever you touch people, don't forget wash your hands, okay, bud? All right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the science? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I am the science. Maybe I should say I am the intelligence. You write over at Substack, the 51 signees of the Russian disinformation letter absolutely deserve to lose their security clearance. You say that security clearances are not a right, and any former intelligence officers who use their power to meddle in a presidential election deserve to lose their clearance. Set this up for us, John, the story, for anyone who might not be familiar with the background of this one, and then make your case.
Yeah, no, I've been writing about this for 18 months. And, we all remember in 2020 when Hunter Biden's laptop became, center stage on the whole world media. Everyone was talking about it. And, people, the New York Post broke that story and they were trying to write about the contents. They got silenced. They got kicked off Twitter. And the reason that happened is you had 51 former U.S. intel officials who came and said, this is Russian disinformation. This has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation campaign, yada, yada, yada. The people that signed that letter included John Brennan, Michael Morell. Morell, we find out. Now, here we're going to fast forward a few years. Morell is the person that organized that letter. Morell is the former deputy director of the CIA. Morell got a call from Anthony Blinken, who was then the senior advisor for the Biden campaign, who implored him to do something to get people to push back on this this idea that the laptop was legitimate. So Morell says, okay, he organizes this letter. Later, during congressional testimony before the House Judiciary Committee, he's talking to Jim Jordan was grilling him. Now, this is closed door. Like, I haven't seen the videos of this. I've seen the transcripts. And Morell says he had two objectives. One was to bring attention to this very serious disinformation campaign. More on that in a minute. The second objective was to help Biden win. And Jim Jordan asked him, to help Joe Biden. He said, why do you want to help Joe Biden? Jim Jordan asked him, he said, because I want him to win. That was explicitly stated by Morell in this testimony. So what you had is a former deputy director of the CIA admitting that he orchestrated this letter for political reasons. Now, everyone that signed that letter, maybe they knew about this, maybe not. Doesn't mean they can't go get their clearance back if they say, look, I had no idea when I signed that letter that all these machinations were going on in the background, that Brennan and Morrell were coordinating with the Biden campaign. But this is really nasty stuff. And what's scary is that they were accusing a nuclear adversary of meddling in the election, when in fact that's what they were doing. There were political motives to that letter.
I thought that the Russians posted memes on Facebook, and that's how they interfered with the election, John. Remember that meme?
Yeah, the $200,000 in Facebook ads. That's what swung the election.
Remember, it was Jesus, and he's arm wrestling with Satan, and it's like, click like if you're for Jesus, and ignore if you're for Satan. That really swayed me, man. Back in 2016, I was thinking about voting for the Democrat, but then when I saw that Jesus was on Trump's side, I had to go for it.
You know, all of this, it shows that the CIA is not being honest. When they say all this Russian meddling, you point out how ludicrous it is. We're talking about a few $100,000 in Facebook ads. But it goes back, the corrupt in these intelligence communities is real. It's the stuff that Edward Snowden looked at and said, oh gosh, this is scary, and decided he had to blow the whistle on that, and now he's, you know, a man on the lam. We need someone like Tulsi Gabbard in there that's going to, you know, rip the bark off these agencies and get to the bottom of all their shenanigans. There's been a lot of, you know, I include a video in that just for fun in that article I wrote on Substack of John Brennan, where he was caught spying on a Senate committee because the Senate committee was investigating his torture program, and he gets caught, you know, spying on these Senate staffers, and Ron Wyden is just trying to get him to apologize for it, and Brennan refuses. He just refuses. He kept saying they did nothing wrong, even though the Inspector General report said this was deeply inappropriate. They're never held accountable for this stuff, and you can have Jim Clapper going before you know, Congress and saying that the NSA is not actually collecting any of that data. I think it's caught lying, and nothing happens. So when our own, you know, U.S. intelligence leaders are lying to us, you know, it's scary, and there needs to be some accountability.
Now, in your Substack, you talk about how John Brennan, the former director of the CIA, was reacting to losing security clearance, and he says that the executive order that Trump initiated was a way to get back at him, to exact retribution on perceived adversaries in the intelligence community. In other words, they're trying to pretend as if our own intelligence agencies weren't working against Donald Trump from the beginning.
Exactly. No, that comes right from the Associated Press, who's saying, you know, they frame this exactly like Brennan and company, like this is a retaliation over a perceived conflict. And it's really hilarious because most of us remember in 2017 when Chuck Schumer, he said he was on Rachel Maddow's show, and he's like, well, even if he's right, Donald Trump's being very stupid.
Sorry, go ahead.
You know, like if you mess with the U.S. intelligence community, they got 7 ways till Sunday to get back at you, you know. And that's what we've been seeing. Trump has been in this Cold War with the intelligence community since 2016. You know, at least for him, I think Trump was largely unaware of this until he was president. And then we find out like their beefs with him go back even before he was president. But they've been waging a campaign against this man. And this is not the role of U.S. intelligence agencies. Like we did this across, you know, the oceans forever, right? Like we'd topple governments and we'd tilt elections. We're doing it here now, and this is deeply dangerous stuff.
Absolutely. We're speaking to John Miltimore this morning on the Wake Up America show. Thanks for tuning in. Click that like button, and if today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, follow as well. I see Robbie Thurman in the chat just gifted a bunch of subs to people. Thanks, Robbie. Hey, guys, if you are now a subscribed member of the channel, you gain access to the 20% discount to the shop and all of the exclusive emojis that I just spammed in the chat, like the nuclear weapon, the helicopter, the Pinochet helicopter tour GIF, the dropping of the bombs, the karate guy, the AK-47, the drone, the sniper rifle, the grenade, the 1911. All the fun little emojis are now at your disposal. So have fun, kids. And everybody say thank you to Robbie. Robbie, thank you very much. John Miltimore, he works for the American Institute of Economic Research, and he's talking to us today about intelligence agents who signed on to the Russian disinformation letter who lost their security clearance. He argues that it was absolutely right to do so. You talk about this concept of there is no right to a security clearance, John. Libertarians love to talk about rights, but this is a privilege, not a right.
Oh, 100%. And like I said, I'm willing to, hear the argument of some of these, U.S. intel officers that said, look, I signed that letter. I didn't know what I was signing. I didn't know about all those things that were happening. The fact is their name's on it. And I think there can be something that says, look, we screwed up. I want to reapply for security clearance. And then you have, you go and explain what happened. Like, and we should have congressional hearings on this. When you have, again, some of these hearings have already happened, but they happen behind closed doors. We need to have public hearings on this, because one of the astonishing things to me is how few people know this. Whenever I publish or post this on Substack, it goes off and people ask, like, how don't I know this? And I always point them to where I first saw the story. Matt Taibbi wrote about it, probably a day before I did. And I subscribed to his Racket News. And that's where I saw these transcripts of these, interviews. And Taibbi opened the story and he said, we're witnessing a blackout. And he basically compares it to like the Soviet Empire and how they treated media. And that could sound hyperbolic to people, but I think he's absolutely right. Media is not talking about this. Even now when Brennan goes and does interviews, nobody is asking him about this Russian disinformation letter. Like, there's a reason they lost their clearance. Like, this is a big deal. They never have to even answer a question from Andrea Mitchell or from Brian Stelter or whoever they're doing the interview with. Just pose them questions, grill them a little bit, and make them answer.
John, your reaction, your take to the first week of the Trump administration?
I'm encouraged, I can't say I agree with everything coming up, but I'm very much encouraged. They're taking some good, bold actions on some fronts. I think immigration could end up blowing up in Trump's face. I think tariffs could end up being a big mistake if he keeps. Although we see just the threat of tariffs can achieve some good things.
Talk to that, John. Talk to that, John, because. You and I, we are no taxes kind of a guys, right? So we're not big fans of tariffs because, I happen to like the microchips that I'm using to stream this show to everyone's microchipped phones that contain microchips that allow us to communicate with one another. I happen to like to be able to afford these things and not have it so that only rich people can afford microchips and mobile phones. But John, the way that President Trump has used tariffs is to threaten them. And then our opponents drop all of their aggressions against our country and then offer their presidential planes like the president of Colombia did. And then Trump drops the tariffs as well. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a win, like the threat of tariffs.
I'll tell you, the official answer is even the threat of tariffs can cause serious economic harms. And I accept that. I see you have a lot of business leaders that are bracing just for the cost of goods going up. Now, that said, there is a trade-off there. Sometimes you can pressure, other countries. They want access to U.S. markets, right? They want access to U.S. dollars. And the threat of steep tariffs can make them kind of fall into line. And we've seen that with some success. I mean, January 6th as well. This is something you and I talked about, Austin, probably a month ago. And we kind of agreed, look, like some of these people are in prison, they don't deserve to be in prison. And I want to see them pardoned. I didn't want to see blanket pardons. And that's sort of what we ended up with. And to me, that just is lazy, right? It should have been their job to say, look, we have a lot of people that don't belong in prison. These guys were committing serious acts of violence. Why are we giving them pardons? Now, I'll even push back on my own answer a little bit. At least they went and served a couple of years in jail, right? In prison. They did some federal time. That does matter. And this is something I want to write on a little bit, the difference between Biden's pardons and Trump's. And I have my beefs with both sets of pardons, but at least with Trump's pardons, the wheels of justice actually were allowed to turn first, right? You had trials. You had juries that voted to convict. You had prison time. Biden's, pardons didn't do any of that. They didn't allow those trials to happen in most cases. They didn't allow the wheels of justice to turn. They're these preemptive pardons, and in that sense, I think they're more egregious than Trump's. And I think you can make a strong case that this is these preemptive pardons are just worse on a lot of different grounds.
Talk to us a little bit about some of the other things that Trump has been doing, which is deporting violent, criminal, illegal aliens. I'm hearing from a lot of people who are, to some degree, in our camp on the libertarian side of things, who are deeply concerned about sending convicted drug traffickers, diddlers of children, dangerous criminals who have set up gangs in apartment complexes. They're deeply concerned about this behavior by the Trump administration. I don't really share that same concern. John, how do you feel about it?
Well, most of the concern I'm hearing isn't for those people that are violent criminals. Like most of the people are concerned that the Trump administration doesn't seem to care if they're violent criminals or not. And this idea, I have real concerns if we're going to try to, deport millions of people. I get going after people that, Haitian gang members or Venezuelan, gang members who are taking over complexes, people that have violent criminal records that are here unlawfully. Like if there's a way to find those people and to deport those people, I don't think you'll find a whole lot of people screaming about that. I think the bigger issue, you have people that came to the United States because they're escaping some I'm going to use Trump's word, hellhole, like Venezuela, that central planners destroyed, and they're just trying to get away with their family to a better land, and they're here, and they've obeyed the law, and they've even probably paid taxes and done those things, and now they're going to be, thrown out of the country. I know a lot of people just say, hey, they came here legally. Tough. I don't feel that way. And I think if we create this mass bureaucracy, and maybe we don't have to create a brand new bureaucracy. It looks like a lot of the things being done are being done by bureaucracies that already exist. But if we're going to try to deport hundreds of thousands or millions of people, I think this is, we don't know. It's uncharted territory. I'm not sure if something like this has ever been tried before.
How do you feel about Donald Trump's threat to take 88,000 IRS agents that were hired by Biden and move them to border enforcement since they're all armed to the teeth anyway?
I had not even heard that one. I will say the biggest challenge in this is keeping up with, there's so much happening.
Yeah, Maria Edenbow over in the Rumble chat just said like 5 minutes ago, she's like, I feel like there was a month's worth of drama in 1 week. Yes, exactly. Yes.
I'm just overwhelmed trying to keep track of what's going on and figuring out, okay, what's stuff that we think it's important to talk about. And there's a danger in that, right? When there's stuff happening on so many fronts, it's kind of even hard to hold government actors accountable because you can't keep track of what's going on. At the same time, if you think that, like we've been living the last 4 years or 15 years or whatever with government out of control and action desperately needed, it's an opportunity. And do I like seeing all this happen through executive order? No, because the problem is Trump's not going to be president forever. Republicans need to think seriously about passing legislation, which is actually going to, have the force of law that can't just be rescinded by the next president who might not share Trump's, political ideas.
But does the fact that that the tariff threat is an effective tool of diplomacy, does it sort of vindicate the strategy? I mean, in some ways, because it appears that as if what Trump is trying to do is to actually get lower tariffs, that he's trying to force other countries to give us a fair deal because Canada isn't taking American cars, right? Europe isn't taking American cars. We're buying vehicles from places overseas and they're not giving us a fair deal. I mean, in many ways, he's almost arguing for more free trade than he really is tariffs. Like he's talking about how much he loves tariffs. He seems to love them more as a bargaining chip than he does as an actual policy, from what I can tell, because when Colombia backed off of their threats to not take in the migrants that we are shipping back over there, they dropped their tariffs and Trump dropped his. That's a free trade strategy. That's not a tariff strategy in a weird way. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do. And if you ask Trump, like he does love tariffs, and there's a reason that he wants to rename, Denali McKinley again, because McKinley was a big, pro-tariff guy. So I do think he does like tariffs, but I think you're right. Like he is bringing tariffs forward in a way that is sort of putting pressure on other governments to lower theirs. Now, has that been effective? I think we have some research on our page that shows it really hasn't been working out that way. Mm-hmm. I hope 4 years from now that we look and maybe that's not true. That maybe, wow, Trump's tariff threats have made global free trade much more dynamic. But we don't know how that's going to work. I think historically, if you look tariffs tend not to work that way. When you start putting tariffs up, then other countries put up their own tariffs. But
I know.
We're going to learn a lot in the next year.
Yeah, if he's using the tariff threats to do what he did with Colombia to then drop the threats and to get better trade deals for us, great. But if he wants to do a revisitation of the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, then we need to go back in history and take a look at what happened when world trade fell by like 2/3 and we sank even deeper into the Great Depression. It wasn't good for our country. So it's a conversation that needs to be had, but it requires a level of sort of historical nuance that a lot of people really aren't capable of having. But I've actually been shocked, and this is the thing that I said over the weekend, John, is that it's so wild how different Donald Trump seems to be now compared to his first administration. My dad and I were having this conversation over the weekend about how Trump didn't know who these people were. John Bolton, John Brennan, all the evil Johns of Washington, D.C. He didn't understand what they would do to him, and they all stabbed him in the back, and they betrayed him, and it became a sort of, his first administration kind of collapsed on the weight of, impeachments and fake Russia hoax and et cetera, et cetera. Please, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. The flu, no. But it seems different now because did you happen to listen to Joe Rogan's interview of Donald Trump before the election by any chance?
I did not.
Okay. Now, if you want to understand Trump's psychology, and to get an idea for the depths of the historical nuance in which he has waded into on this tariff discussion and in the economic consequences, et cetera, you should definitely look at that interview, or at least the clip where he talks about President McKinley. And he talks about, the reason why he's had that push, for example, of moving the name or changing the name of Mount Denali back to Mount McKinley is because of his admiration for McKinley and his tariffs, right? Which is, I know for you and I, it kind of raises the hair on the back of our necks, but still, I'm actually proud of President Trump for doing his homework when it came to the history of the United States and what presidents have. Now, this could be somebody feeding these things to him, but I don't care. I mean, as long as he is kind of like learning the history of the United States and having an intellectual component to his policies. Whereas I felt as if Trump was acting more on instinct in his first term. He's learned his lessons. I think it was actually better that he was out of power for him. Maybe not for our country, for Joe Biden, because he learned his lessons and he's now coming back. This blitzkrieg strategy that he is engaging on is highly effective, John. So I'll give you the final word here to give you a take. Like, Trump 2.0, or I guess Trump 3.0, better than any other version of Donald Trump with some caveats?
I agree with all that analysis. In fact, I've been seeing many on the left or Democrats or however you want to describe them, who they have said Trump is much more organized this time around, and you can see it in subtle ways. All his appointment picks and things like all of this isn't being leaked to the media weeks ahead of time. They're much more disciplined. They're keeping their agenda. Like, you don't hear about it now until it's out. I think first time around there was. Let's not forget, Trump was very new to politics. I don't think he had the savvy to kind of keep the lid on a lot of those things. And then the media would be framing everything before Trump, the Team Trump was even getting the message out. So I think we're going to see a lot more action. Successful action this time around. Like I said, I got high hopes. There's going to be some blunders, like that's sort of, the way that these things work. So far, most of what I'm seeing is good. I would just encourage Trump, avoid those big unforced errors. And some of his trade policy stuff, I think, could turn into that if he's not careful. But, we just talked about it. If he's able to use tariffs effectively and get other countries to lower their own, protectionist, remove their own protectionist policies, that will be a huge win.
John, I want you to go and read the news story about Donald Trump freezing the hiring of any new IRS agents and taking the ones that Biden hired and sending them with the guns that they carry down to the U.S. border. You'll love it.
I'm going to be checking it out right when we get off this call.
All right, man. It's a great story. We'll see you again next Monday. Have a good one. Anything else you want to say before we let you go, or?
No, like I said, just check out all my stuff at The Take by John Miltimore on Substack.
You rock, John. Have a great day.
CAP.
Thank you very much, John Miltimore. I need an announcement horn. I'm having an absolute blast this morning. The news is tremendous. We're absolutely killing it. America is back again, and you love to see it. Andrew Schulz, who's a popular comedian online, says it's not cool to be, well, you know what? Let me just play the clip.
It's going to be hard for them to get talent because they're so uncool right now. Like I don't know one man above like 5'9" that says they're a Democrat.
There's only one.
I honestly like males only males like under 5'9" that identify as a Democrat. They're like, I am a Democrat, like 100%. So, exactly.
I'm registered as an independent, and I'm 5'6", 5'7" on a good day.
Exactly. It's a shorter guy thing. I don't know what it is. They just need protection.
I don't know if it's a shorter guy thing.
Have you met one dude 6'4" with a job who's just like, I'm a Democrat?
I would argue it's a gayer guy thing.
It's for bottoms. Democrats are if for bottoms. It is more of a bottom thing. Imagine you're on a date and the guy on a date is like, I'm a Democrat. I just love, I want to chop off everybody's and just fucking put them in my mouth, or whatever Democratic rhetoric is. What else? Democratic Party is for 5'8" and under men.
Oh man.
And then it's for women like over 280.
Top Lobster, my next guest coming up in less than 5, says, you're a pussy, Andrew Schulz. This was clearly obvious, what Schulz was saying, years ago, but you were too much of a coward to do your job as a comedian. Now that it's acceptable mainstream, you can say it. You're funny, but you're not a comedian. You're a social engineer. Better hope the sheep don't recognize. The man who said that, the top of all lobsters, joins us live in less than 5. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Don't go away. Go to 4libertyshop.com.
The hazardous materials while
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.
For them to get talent because they're so uncool right now. Like I don't know one man above like 5'9" that says they're a Democrat.
There's only one.
I honestly like males only males like under 5'9" that identify as a Democrat. They're like,
yeah. Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm 5'11", by the way. So close. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. We're glad and thankful to have you here. Click the like button. We'd be glad to have you be a regular guest on this show. It's every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. If you click the follow button underneath the video that you're watching at rumble.com, you are watching us on Rumble, right? Not one of those other gay channels like YouTube or something like that. Don't watch us on YouTube, guys. What are you doing? They hate us. The only reason that I'm there is for free advertising so that you guys can join us over on rumble.com where they don't hate me, where they don't hate freedom. You know I'm demonetized over on that stupid, terrible, awful, crappy, horrible social network. They've demonetized me for 3 months. Boo, boo. Why are you bowing to these people who hate you? You can't make any super chats. You can't become a member of my channel. You can't support me really at all, other than just watching the show. The best way to do it, yes, I'm guilting you, is to come to rumble.com/AP for Liberty. If you're underneath 5'9" as a man, then you watch the show on YouTube. All right. Giving you a hard enough time. Andrew Schulz, popular comedian, another mustache wearer. His mustache is more like a beard, if you know what I mean. Says Democrats are so uncool right now. I don't know one man above like 5'9" who says they're a Democrat. Well, the king of all lobsters, the number one, the top lobster, says you're a pussy, Andrew Schulz. Well, you know, I happen to agree. Joining us live right now, the top lobster. Good morning. How you doing there, lobster?
What's up, Austin? Yeah, and you know what? As a man who stands at exactly 5'9" average Puerto Rican height, I tend to agree with you. And I'm gonna go ahead and sweep the rug on Andrew Schulz. I like him. I think he's really funny. I've met him at he was at Skankfest. I've met him because I work in the comedy field. I used to. That's an Owen Benjamin joke though. So, you know, guys, if we're gonna be edgy comedians and start to tell the truth, at least like workshop your own jokes. I know that you're a little bit late in the game, maybe 6-7 years late, and you've made your bag and you've sold out MSG and you did what you had to do to get ahead. But now that, you know, the tides are changing, let's at least be a little creative, you know, not just steal jokes from people who were canceled before. So the whole thing disgusts me. I would never really talk at this person because I kind of respect him, right? He's a pretty good comedian. He's funny. He's, you know, off the cuff, all the things that I appreciate, but it's just a little bit too late, right? Culturally. And I could see the frustration with people. Well, actually, I'm not even sure if I'm seeing the frustration. I'm frustrated because I'm seeing people finally happy that somebody with clout that's been given to them from, you know, old leftist guard media now agreeing with them. And it's a bit of a relief, right? It's like a little bit of a boot off of your neck. And you're kind of like, oh, finally, the winds are changing. Finally, I can say what No, you could have always said what you thought, Andrew. You had a platform. You have the skills. You're very funny. You're on Rogan all the time. You could have said this before when it actually mattered. It's not necessarily even about Trump. You know, this was about, he said, oh, I don't know what's in my arm. Why did they pardon Fauci? I put this in my arm. What could it be? It's clearly poison. It's always been poison. But your fan base was, I don't know what they were thinking. You went and took it, sitting next to your Hot 97 Charlemagne the God host, and you carried water in that way. And now you're doubting it. A little bit too late, buddy.
Stephen Smith went on Bill Maher's show last weekend, and he talked about how, you know, say what you will about Donald Trump, but this guy actually does what he says he's going to do, and the Democrats don't do what they say they're going to do. He came out and he said that he regrets voting for Kamala. What's your reaction to that?
They regret being on the wrong side of culture, on the wrong side of history right now. And again, I like Donald Trump, but I'm not like a big MAGA guy. So let's just go ahead and preface that. But it's clear. Listen, you're presented with the choice of Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, and it's basically like pretty decent policy and some sort of strategy to fix America versus abortion. This was our choice in 2024, and these people got it wrong. It was an IQ test, in my opinion. So now you're seeing people who I don't know, Austin. What do you think? Are they stupid or are they evil? This is the
both.
Dichotomy
both, please. Yeah.
Yes, I guess we'd have to really think about that. But then, as a viewer, as a casual viewer of media and these sort of personalities, you have to then ask yourself: if these people are stupid, why am I listening to them? If they're evil, why have I listened to them before? And who should I listen to next?
Well, they had a monopoly. I mean, you know, as someone who has worked in mainstream media newsrooms, you know, in New York City, across the street from Rockefeller Center, you know, I've produced, you know, live television in the belly of the beast. I've seen how it is created, and I've seen how it's fabricated. And you know, it's people really, they don't know the depths of depravity of what is going on that it takes to create for them a live newscast, at least from the perspective of like how the legacy media operates. And some people, like, they're watching, for example, the CBS interview that JD Vance with Margaret Brennan, for example. And I was trying to explain to people earlier how it's like they try and bring, if it's a left-wing news agency, they try and bring someone on who is like an idiot who will sort of basically be like, oh, there's an R after their name, but they kind of agree with everything Democrats are saying. And, oh, yes, the J6ers should be in jail, et cetera, et cetera. But they try and bring on people who are idiots, but then if there's somebody who's actually intelligent, who's making the right ideas, who has the right ideas, they either don't bring them on because they think, oh, well, they're not relevant enough. But if they're so relevant that they do want to bring them on, then they will kind of hockey puck it back and forth to prevent them from being able to actually say what they believe. Now, Jon Stewart, speaking of comedians, Top Lobster, you might know this. Jon Stewart used to actually deceptively edit interviews to make these people sound stupid or idiotic or retarded. And in the newsrooms, they do cut it to make the person, they take things out of context and they only show you what they believe. And I'll tell you this, most of the people, though, in the mainstream media or the legacy media, they aren't stupid, but they are definitely evil. And what they are doing is trying to manipulate us because, I mean, let's be honest, like most of New York and DC, they live in a bubble, and it's quite common to go for a cocktail after, you know, your 5 p.m. live show at Fox and then go across the street and be listening to everybody at Rockefeller Center talking about how much they hate where I live right now in Jefferson City, how much they hated people where I live out in Missouri. They despise our culture, and they've used government as a blunt instrument, a tool. They've used people like Andrew Schulz as a bludgeon to try and keep us down and take away our freedoms and take away our liberties. So it is an insidious and evil conspiracy that the legacy media has had, but they're losing it. And, you know, thank God for podcasts like, you know, the Tower Gang and for Wake Up America show, because evil is on the retreat right now. And I'm like you, I'm not like a MAGA guy per se. I'm a, you know, liberty guy in the Republican Party, right? So, but evil, stupid, yes. The stupid people are the tits that they bring out, the anchors with, you know, gigantic boobs that are there to hypnotize you, right? And hypnotize the socialist titties that are meant to hypnotize and enslave your ass, you know what I'm saying? Right? But that's the stupid. The evil are the puppet masters. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So this is, again, my gripe with these guys like Bill Burr, even Jon Stewart, I wouldn't even consider him a comedian, but Bill Burr, Andrew Schulz, you go down the line of mainstream comedian who's been doing what they're told and has now since changed tune. They're working, but they're not working under their title, okay? As human beings, we operate in archetypes, and their archetype is the jester. And their job, their specific job role, is to speak truth to the king. They're the only ones that are allowed to do this. They've abdicated that duty. In the time when they were really supposed to uphold that duty, there's one person, maybe two, like a Sam Tripoli and Owen Benjamin, who, I mean, Owen Benjamin really is the biggest example of this, where in 2015, when the whole trans thing started happening, he actually spoke truth to the king, got completely banned for it. He's living out in Idaho in the middle of a farm because he can't work. They wouldn't even let him work a small comedy club. This is one of the funniest people in the world. So funny that Dave Chappelle still steals his jokes. Andrew Schulz is right there. The joke that you saw about the 5'9", that's his joke. These are the people that I want to hear from. I don't want to hear from an Andrew Schulz when he could have taken his bag of money at any point, even after the jab. You could have taken it and floated away on your boat, or actually created something where you can speak truthfully, but you didn't. You rode that wave all the way until now, and now it's safe again. And I think it's MAGA Republicans, I think it's Trump Republicans' job to start to differentiate between these people and don't let them back on the boat. They were opposed to you. Same thing. I mean, we were talking about Meghan McCain last night. You sent me one of her recent tweets where she's just glazing Trump again. Well, I remember her in 2021 calling for January 6ers to put them under the jail, right? And are we going to let these people back into civil, polite society? Let them take their money and let them go. Or if you're of a more of a revenge type mindset, then do whatever you got to do. But for me, I'm very happy with telling them, fuck off. We're done. We've heard from you. You've been wrong multiple times, and that's enough. New shooter. Who's the next person up? And when that person falters, we find the next person. This is a big, big field, and everyone has something to say. There's plenty of talented people. We don't need to continue to hold on to this old guard and listen to the old shit and the old lies that they've been told to tell us.
I like the jester analogy. I think that's very important because that you've really latched on to the importance of the role that comedians play in a free society. In order for civilization to function, people have to have release valves for the pain and suffering that most people feel in their daily lives, because one of the epicenters of the Trump revolution centered around the pain and suffering of the average person when it came to price inflation. And this is something that they just don't feel the pain of. They don't experience it because, first of all, most people like Margaret Brennan and Stephen Smith and Andrew Schulz and stuff like that, these people, they don't do their own grocery shopping, or they can afford to order every meal on DoorDash. They don't have to go to the grocery store, see the rising price of eggs, and deal with the fact that, I've got a child, when I have to go to the grocery store, I've got to buy a $50 bucket of baby formula. Like, they don't have to worry about these things. They are immune to the problems that they are creating in Washington, D.C. And it used to be, though, that like comedians weren't necessarily always as powerful in society as they have sort of become. I mean, it was kind of the Jon Stewart era where comedians used to be something more like, it used to be more of a fringe of society phenomenon. Like, if you were a comedian, like, you were still kind of like, a jester in the sense that you weren't sort of empowered to the level that people are today, where you have Netflix specials and people actually listen to Jon Stewart. You say he's not a comedian. I kind of think he is, but I mean, he used to be. But people listen to Jon Stewart and Jimmy Kimmel, and they listen to Stephen Colbert. They listen to these people as if they are actual news hosts, right? Like, they have been mesmerizing people. And I think you're right to say, I agree. Don't, forgive them. Don't bring them back into the fold, because they're only doing it because the culture has gone our way. So Owen Benjamin is a name of a person that you like. Sam Tripoli, I don't know him. I'm not familiar. Are there any other comedians that are out there today that are really funny who, maybe never really got into the woke mind virus? Maybe Shane Gillis. Any others?
Shane Gillis is great. A lot of these guys, and I understand it too, they want to do comedy because they are comedians at heart. So they'll see the political and they'll either shy away from it. Like, one of my favorite comedians, Louis J. Gomez, he's the creator, owner of Gas Digital. He sees politics and he's like, I'm not even going to address it. I want to do funny. And that's great. That's his lane. Do your thing. If you're a dick joke comedian, more power to you. I love that kind of stuff. But there's other people that, they decide to dip their toe into this politics game, and then they realize that there's some money in it, and then they move in that direction. They also, they come in with a very funny background, and now they're, again, like I said, they're not working under title. Their title is comedian/jester. Most of them are working as like a Stephen Colbert. I will consider more of a social engineer, level 3 or something like that. Like, there's levels. He's one of the higher levels of social engineer. Do what you're told. Here's your script. Make the people laugh. Fake applause. So I have a lot of disdain for those people. There's a lot of dick joke comedians. That's fine. That's fine by me. If you don't want to get into this game, we're in the political commentary game, sort of. It's not something I intended, but we're in it, and you see how kind of gross and disgusting it is. So I get wanting to have your hands off of it. But just be a comedian. And also to say, comedians, jesters, historically, not the highest paid. Yes, they weren't millionaires, but these were people in the king's court. They're there to keep the king in line because they're the only ones that could present him with the truth in a funny manner. If you can make somebody laugh, you can make them second guess what they're doing. Otherwise, if somebody criticized the king, you get your head cut off. That's specifically your job. You've abdicated the duty, but you're still pretending like that's what you're doing. It's disgusting.
We're speaking to Top Lobster here on the Wake Up America show. Here's some fake applause for you, sir. Glad to have you here. Some canned applause, but it's the audience is definitely loving what they're hearing this morning. So if you're enjoying Top Lobster's opinion, make sure you follow him over at X at Top Lobster. That's not that's Lobster, not Lobster. He joins us live here on the Wake Up America show. We're glad to have him. Talking a little bit about comedians, their role in society, and how so many Johnny-come-latelys have suddenly come around to the idea that perhaps leftist Democrat culture is uncool. Maybe you're not very masculine if you're a Democrat, man. They are kind of in trouble, the Democrats, in a way, right? They had it all. They like the keys to the kingdom. They didn't even realize that it was slipping between their fingers, though, because culture has started to move more in our direction. And, you know, it's a good thing that we see people, I think, that we see some people coming on board and waking up. And you know, we shouldn't put that, it shouldn't be like Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks where we put him on stage and applaud him or something like that. I thought that was really retarded. But I do want to see more people coming over to our side. I do want to take in new people in our ranks, just like we kind of brought Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. and some of these more independent-minded people over to the coalition. I think, you know, everybody loves a good redemption arc. We just have to make sure that it's legitimate. How you tell, you know, that's a conversation for another day. But go ahead.
Let me ask you, Austin.
Yeah.
How did this strategy work out for the Libertarian Party with the big tent strategy? You tell me. What does it look like right now? Because you had a gay dude and a cop as your nominees for the Libertarian Party. After this big tent strategy, they allowed, remember the whole liberty unity, right? And allowing everybody in instead of, hey, these people have pretty awful ideas and some of them are just commendable, maybe pedophiles even. But no, they continue to go on. And now, as far as I'm concerned, I think Angela McArdle just stepped down. They're irrelevant. And not just irrelevant, but retarded. You saw what they did to Donald Trump. And I'll be honest, people, you could hate me if you want to. If I was Donald Trump, after the way they treated me, and then after I released Ross, I would have went back and I would have tore up the paper because they were just talking shit the entire time. These people are ridiculous. I digress.
No, it's a good conversation. It's an important conversation. You know, my opinion on the LP is going to be like, you know, harsh with nuance. It's going to be, I mean, it went from the Gary Johnson years, which started out with the best of intentions and then collapsed into a giant grift with millions of dollars being siphoned off to a person who ran the campaign, to, you know, the just disaster of 2020 with, you know, that chick that they had, the BLM chick. And then, you know, this year, you know, the party was so weak that it was defenseless against bringing in the woke mind virus. So, I mean, you know, but again, you're right. It's neither here nor there. They're irrelevant, you know, and I could see Trump being petty and vindictive, but it's amazing that he actually seems to be willing to reach across the aisle and still do what he said he would do for them, even though they mistreated him, treated him like garbage. I agree with you, Top. I mean, and I think, you know, the president would be well within his rights to do so. What really just kind of like gets me steamed, though, is so many libertarians, after he freed Ross, again, still talking shit, still saying like, oh, you know, and not trying to give Angela McArdle credit that she's due, right? That she absolutely deserves, right? Not saying that she gets all of it. A lot of people put in a lot of hours, especially Ross Ulbricht's mom and a lot of other libertarian activists and stuff, but they just want to talk shit. They don't want to actually do anything. They don't want to accomplish anything, because here's the thing. Javier Milei proved that you can have victory based around these ideals. And a lot of libertarians hated him for the sole purpose of it showed them up for the losers that they are, because they can't win. Now there's no excuse. They have to win. And here in this country, Trump has showed that the power of coalition, that the power of MAGA and libertarian ideas, because frankly, he's the most libertarian president of my lifetime, right? And probably since Calvin Coolidge, right? And you know, a lot of MAGA people get pissed off at some of the libertarian stuff that he does. And I'm like, oh man, this is great for, you know, I love to see it, right? But when it comes to how libertarians interact with Trump, you still see these left libertarians out there who are seeing him as like the heart of all evil. They have swallowed the mainstream media lies. They're beyond hope. They're beyond redemption. It's amazing to me that they cannot see what is directly underneath their noses. But that's a lot of people, Lobster. And I mean, we could bitch about them all day long. My last question to you here on this subject is, where do you think we go from here? Because we really only have 4 years of Trump, and then the threat of the Democrats just walking right back in and wiping away. Like, if the Democrats walked in right now, they could just overturn all of his executive orders, and then this was all for naught. But I mean, 4 years is not a very long time. Like, give us a prediction here. What could happen? What do you think might happen? Give us the odds back and forth. What do you think?
I was a couple of months ago, right around the election. I went on Liberty Lockdown, and as a surprise guest, Robbie the Fire, that's Dave Smith's co-host, was on, and we were talking. And I'm the kind of guy to shoot from the hip and say wild shit. And I said, thinking out loud, I said, hey, I think, maybe if Trump wins this election, this is before he even won. I said, if he wins, I think the move here is to go ahead and just go through the voter rolls. And it's funny, like I'm kind of making a joke here. Go through the voter rolls. Anyone who voted for Kamala Harris, suspend them from voting for like 10 years or something. This was an IQ test. You failed. And the reason I said that is because I feel like we're in the point in America where you have to play for keeps. We're in the point, not just in America, but globally. We are dancing on the edge of a knife here. And if we make the wrong decision, we're not going to have anything to give to our kids. This whole experiment will be failed. And it's this close to failing. 4 years can't fix it. Although he surprised me, he's coming in 3 days and kind of, alleviated a lot of the social tensions, a lot of even some of the economic pressures, just with a couple of executive orders. So he can definitely make some good changes within the next 4 years. But I think you need 8. I think you need 10. I think you need 12. I think the other side should not be in power again. But this also then brings up some caution, because what I'm seeing right now and what I'm really worried about is a hard swing to the right, where instead of us swinging to the correct right political spectrum, we swing a lot further. And I know that you see that sentiment with the whole Jewish thing, which I have been guilty of proliferating. But unchecked, this will swing far to the right. And this guy, if Trump has unanimous, 100% consensus in the United States, which it could possibly be, you get enough of these fake celebrities that will back him, we could be looking at a different type of monster, one that's a lot harder to stop than the left. It's going to have different ideals. So where does this go? I'm not quite sure. But what I do know is, for right now, you need to keep these people's hands off the wheels by any means possible. If that means embracing some sort of dictatorial tactics, do it. It seems to have worked for Bukele in El Salvador. And that also brings you to the idea of the cartel, which is a whole nother discussion. Can't wait to hear libertarians cry about that war, which is already here, and one that probably definitely needs to be fought because it's been going on actually in our borders. What happens, I think we see a lovely 4 years. I think the economy turns up. I think it's going to be great. And what I tell people, what I caution them, is to position yourself accordingly, because what happens after is going to be completely unpredictable, and I don't think people are going to like it.
You're an interesting and thoughtful guy, Lobster. What we need likely is a Cincinnatus, right? We need a George Washington, a person who wields dictatorial power for liberty and then walks away and goes back to his plow, or goes back to Mount Vernon and operates as the Society of Cincinnatus is doing in the United States. One of the good secrets.
Big ask.
Yeah, it's a big ask. It's a big ask. You give me a lot to think about today, Top Lobster. I'm glad we had you on. Anything else that you think that we missed or covered, or anything you want to plug before we let you go today, sir?
We didn't talk about God or Jesus Christ. On my show, Nephilim Death Squad, we talk about current events through a biblical lens. And I know I come off kind of brash on Twitter and also on Tower Gang. I come off very offensive and racist, but that's a show where we're doing deep dives into what we think is actually going on. I suggest, and I hope people go over there, Nephilim Death Squad on Rumble. Don't go to YouTube. YouTube is gay.
Yes.
Go to Rumble. Listen to us on audio. That's my bread and butter right there. So thank you guys. Thanks for having me on, Austin.
Hey, great conversation. Keep dropping those hot takes over on X, and we'll keep booking you here on the Wake Up America show. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great week, man.
Peace out.
There you go. That's the Top Lobster. What do you guys think? Good stuff? All right. So it was an awesome show today. I think you guys will agree. Today was fun. So much good stuff. So many great interviews. Hey, just a quick FYI, guys. Announcements before we go. The APDC Liberty Tour is on. But here's the thing. Some of you who wanted to go are like, oh, I don't know if I can go, blah, blah, blah. Many of you don't know you can save 20% using your monthly subscription you get access to a 20% discount, because if you have that red icon next to your name, you are a monthly subscriber, right? You may only have it for this 1 month, but you're a monthly subscriber whether or not somebody bought it for you. Robbie Thurman bought a bunch of people monthly subs here in the Rumble chat. That counts. So you can get a 20% discount here on the Wake Up America show's APDC Liberty Tour. So here's what you do. If you don't have your code, send me a text at 573-319-1586. Again, the text lines are open at 573-319-1586. I'll send you your number. Just tell me what your username is, and I will check it with the records, and then I will send you your 20% discount code. Then you can go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the gift shop. And book your Liberty Tour, guys. Come on, people are already booking up their hotel rooms for May 1st to the 3rd. Join me and Stephanie and Hazel and all of our friends in Washington, D.C. on the Wake Up America show's APDC Liberty Tour, okay? Get your tickets today. Use your 20% discount on that. Use our buy one, get one discount to save 50% on a second ticket, and then save 20% on top of that, guys. All of the savings, that's the benefits that you get. All the benefits of savings already at 8 years old. Drink your Ovaltine, folks. And join us in Washington, D.C. May 1st to the 3rd, guys. We'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Wake Up America show. Bye, Curious Cat. Bye, Camellia. Bye, Megatron. Bye, Luke Sacker. Leisha Wilder. Sign of Jonah. Amy J. E's. Cecilia H. Look, it's Liz. Luke Sacker. And so many others. Entropy Nomad on the Wake Up America show, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
The hazardous materials while serving in the military and having
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.